Welcome to Trading Lounge and the daily US stocks for Friday, October 28, and I want to start with the S&P E-minis here on a daily chart. And what I want to point out here is that these three bars that have been pushing to the upside here, you can see that, well, first one was strong, but the second one's had, this was lower volume than the previous bar, and this one here is lower volume than the previous bar. So what's actually happening here is divergence. You've got the price going up and you've got the volume diminishing. And then we've got this bar here that obviously has been sold off at the top, but it's also done that on higher volume as well, like confirming a top. Now, we don't have increased volume on this move down through here, but I do find that this particular platform here kind of, I don't know, seems to add the volume at the end of the day a little bit more so. I don't know, something weird that I haven't actually sort of figured out yet. But so this can be a top in the market. It could also be a wave 4 pulling back. If we were going to look at this here as the A wave, which we have been doing, and then the B wave, and then wave 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 and 5, we would have another move to the upside. So Friday is going to be a bit of a line in the sand, in that if Friday closes weak, well then Monday will follow through on that, and vice versa to the upside. If Friday closes strong, well then Monday will be up as well. Now this particular count here, as you know from yesterday and the day before, especially with Microsoft and Apple, because I was looking at this as an A and a B here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But with Apple, I mean with Microsoft and Alphabet, it was better to look at this as an A, B, C here for the A wave, then the B wave, and then the C wave up here, because they've come right down here now, as you know, and we'll be looking at that again today. So they've already started, as I mentioned, that they've already started their wave 1 to the downside. So I think the S&P could be viewed as an A wave, a B wave here, and a C wave up here. So there's a lot of other stocks that are folding into this particular move here. This never made a good wave 2 here, you know, so as I mentioned, it's just, you know, it was kind of, you got like 4 bars of it here really, and you got 2 for wave 1. It just didn't make any sense really. So to have this as an ABC pattern here, and the length of wave A here as a bit of equality to the length of wave C, is a really nice sort of match. Now it does put the S&P, you know, we've got as wave 2 up here for that. For wave 2 you would normally have a 5, 3, 5 structure, and we don't really have that. So it is possible that we could look at this being a B wave up the top here. Still doesn't stop us having, you know, making further lows to the downside. But yeah, anyway, that's another thing that we need to chat about later. But I'm just pointing out here, based on volume, really, that we've got a top in place. Is it the top? I don't know. We need to confirm that, but a nice move down would help that. So we could just do something like this. We could just go, because if it was going to come down, it's going to be a 4th wave, right? So let me just plonk that there. So that's the 38.2% at 3,800, and as I mentioned yesterday, the 3,800 as a retested resistance would be would signify that we have a top in place if that 3,800 became the retested resistance. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd look at it a little bit differently today, the S&P, and there we go. So we've probably got a top in place, because it does look like we've got a top in place for Apple. So as I just mentioned, in a lot of cases, you know, it doesn't count very nicely as a zigzag, as a 5-3-5 structure to the upside here. So it might be possible that we'll have to look at this as a B wave here, but we still get 5 waves down here. But the difference is that we get the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave down here, rather than, and still get 5 waves in this length here, but not 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 down here, do you know? So anyway, it'll be a little bit of work, and we'll work it out along the way. But as far as the crow flies, we can start looking at this as a little wave 1 here. So we'll get 5 waves down to here, and then we'll have a correction, something like this, and then, you know, 3, 4, and 5 down, something of this nature. So we can see we've got a significant turn. He didn't quite reach our 50-60%, but you know, this is a big number at this medium level here. So yeah, I mean, we're pretty much on our way. We can see just the basic stochastics here, also to doing its thing. Of course they can flatline, but just gives you a bit of you know, a bit of wind in the sails, so to speak, helps you along a little bit. Not that it's necessary, but folks like indicators. So okay, so that's it really in a bit of a nutshell. It looks like in most of the markets we'll have a top in place, so the shorting campaign can go. But to confirm all of this, in some other markets like Enphase and Netflix can move a bit higher. They don't all have to turn at once, so it will depend on Friday. So yeah, you know the bullish weekly cycle, so let's just, when you're doing your counts and doing your trade setups in your own little way, you know, just you know, you don't have to move in with a lot of money. Okay, let's just go through a few of these here. So I'm just going to go to the, let's go to the 10K. I'll just see what I've done here. So yeah, so anyway, so in this move up here, I'm going to look at it as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave for the A wave, and then the B wave. And all the stocks we've got, we can count 5 waves up here because we had that as the 3rd wave. So this is a good case that you know, we've basically moved through that 38.2% here, which is way up here, you know, that this 38.2% here. So we're way below that, you know. Could we have some other count? Can this just sort of double in size? Could we put this B wave over here and an A wave over here, and then finally get our C wave over here? That's possible. It'd still be a B wave because we don't have a 5-3-5 structure here. But the thing is Microsoft and Google have come down pretty low, so I don't think that's the case. I think we got to run with what we've got here. So we're, as always, we just need to be a little bit sort of cautious in sort of how we handle the situation. I don't have any longs in the market at the moment. I'm just starting to put a few shorts in, but the shorts that I put in are, you know, you wouldn't brag about them. They're so small that you know, they'll just, if I lose and the market moves up on Friday, well, I'll be stopped out, and I've had a small loss, because I understand that to pick a tops in some of the markets, it can take it can take 2 or 3 goes, you know. So I don't want to be smashed around just trying to get in, you know. So that's that. Let's just cruise in a bit further. So I'm just going to tweak these a little bit, and then we've got 5 waves in this move through here for this. This will be the sticking point down here for this, of course, with all that consolidation and the 50-60%. So anyway, it's good to sort of know there'll be some support here, so we can get a bit of a move back up from that point on the 1K tick for this. So let me just think about this for a second. Yeah, okay, so we could look at this in a couple of different ways coming down here. Do I have any 1s and 2s? No. So I could look at this as wave 1 here and 2 here, right? And then the 3rd wave down would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the 3rd wave down here, the 4th and then the 5th. So we could look at the 4th wave and the 5th wave here for that, for wave 1, and that would come down into that nice support area that we just talked about, you know, and then we will have a corrective rally at that stage. That would be looking at it as 1 and 2, and then the whole third wave here. But there is a bit of overlap in this situation here, but we do have a nice third wave here in that instance. We could also do it another way. We could put wave 1 here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then put wave 2 here, and then we have this down for 1 and 2 and keep moving down further. So there's different ways to handle this. So we'll probably just run a couple of different counts. Where's the 100 ticks? I think I've got that a bit different. Okay, yeah, I've got it like that. So yeah, I can see this was fast, this was fast, and this one's actually slowing down a little bit here, so we'll get a bounce back on that. So this looks like a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here for a 1, so we'll just label that there. And then this here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for a third wave here. So there's probably I might need to label this with something else, but it'll just give you a little bit of an idea that where we are here with this. So I don't know if this is starting the next one down as a wave 1 here, but I know that there's a lot of support coming in down here, right? So this is where we can get a retracement level. So I'll probably just need to sort of mull this over and think about it with other markets as well. Could it be the A wave, the B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here? Yeah, it looks like a nice sort of 5th wave slowing down at this point. So that's possible, and we could go up at that point. So there's still a lot of work to be done with all of this, but we are starting to see like impulse waves come down now. We know because of Microsoft and Google and not so much Meta platforms, because that's just getting hammered anyway, you know. And that's in a different sequence. But yeah, so, you know, if you're going to sort of, I don't have a really good setup here just yet for this. It's a shame that I don't live in the US, because I would have shorted it under this here, because this is the market come down, bounce, the arrival, the reaction, the first low below the level, the retest here, and then we normally I'd normally short the retest here with the stop above here. You know, but now we're down here, so it's sort of like, oh shit, you know, how do we handle this? So I can see that this needs to, you know, needs to come down, have a correction, do those sort of things, and it might just have another small, might not be a wave 2 correction, it might be something like this. So, you know, a lot of folks like overtrade, and that gets them into strife. But when you think about it for a moment, you know, if you think about where we are at the moment and think to ourselves, well, we could, you know, if we, you know, even as a B wave to a C wave here, if we're going to get this move here, you know, over here for this, then we're going to be going down to 100, you know. So if you're shorting this, you'd think to yourself, well, how do I get down there? Do you know what I mean? And you know, like I just think a very small position, and then just add another small position, and then another one. And sometimes you'll get some nice setups, and other times you won't, and you just keep feeding the beast. And you can do that with a few markets, rather than just focus on one market where you're going to, you know, make enough to retire on, so to speak. You know, because that's the problem. You end up just shoving it all in, and you can't manage the risk on it. You know. So give it a bit of thought and take a sort of longer term view of it, and yeah, rather than just a short term view and go, you know, once you get going in a trend, then it's easy to add to it, you know. Alrighty, enough waffling, let's cruise along. So with NVIDIA here, this is slightly different, and I've counted this differently, but I've had it as an A and a B, and then counting up as 1 and A, B, C for 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, and yesterday we had 3 here, we're looking for 4, and then we got this move up here. Is that the top? I mean, I don't really have a lot of evidence, and it's not like the best impulse wave to the downside, is it, you know? So if this became, the 30 became the retested resistance with a classic trading levels pattern, you know, so basically what you need, you could short it here and put the stop up there, if you know, but that's all risk. So normally if you trade, say, $100, you just put in like $5 here. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously folks work in, you know, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but just sort of pointing out that You know, if you don't have a good setup, but you think it could go down because the rest of the market's going down, well, you don't have to bet it all on the horse, you know. I mean, so yeah, you can wait for that to become the resistance if you wanted to. That would be a nice way to do it, and then come down, you know, take the low out at that point, and then you could say to yourself, well, okay, I'll do a very small bet here, and then I'll look to add under 125. I'll also look to add under 30. And if we're coming down here, well, then we're probably going to come down further. So if it does come down to the 20 and it bounces back to the 23 or 24, I might be able to get another position up here for that, you know. And you just kind of keep working it and build it in, you know. It's okay to have, you know, 20 trades in there, easy, you know. So, but everybody's a little bit different. So, you know, like I said, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to chucking it all in, unless you've got a really good setup. But there we go. And Amazon's come down quite deep, so this is another case where we're going to put the A, the B, and the C wave in here. I know Amazon's in a big sort of sideways correction, so this may not be correct. This count to the downside may not be correct, you know. I can see we could look at this as one here with an ABC for 2, then down here for, I've just got it, I didn't go 3, 4 here, I went 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so I've got a third wave. We're going to get a fourth wave here, then a fifth wave, and then a third and a fourth, and then a fifth down. So I think it's going to work itself lower. We've just got it at 10 here, which is, you know, we've got 100 here, then 10, 20, all that sort of stuff. So minor group 1, 10, 20, 30. Yeah, once this here becomes the resistance, then we'll see it come down here further. So you might want to work the level in terms of a classic trading levels pattern to the downside. You might want to short the bounce in very small positions. Where are we with it's always good to know where you are in terms of that 50-60% retracement level. So that's good in a way, because look, it's starting to, it'll probably retest it again, but basically where this next one is here, but we don't need to worry about that one. We just need to really worry about the closest largest number in that case, so which is the 10. So the 61.8% and the 78.6, and then you've got the 110 in the middle here, and that's 1 is the strongest number. So that's really the number that you need to work with. The rest of it doesn't really, the rest of it's just fluff. But it's just good to see that we're below that 61.8% rather than just heading into it, because if you're just heading into it, you wouldn't want to short into that, you know. So really you'd work this number here as a classic trading levels pattern. If you could see that this was a corrective pattern, well, then you could short that bounce here that can come back to this wave 4 1 lesser degree here. So I'll put that up there. So can this one over here, so don't over trade on this one, because when it comes down here it can go back up again, but normally the wave 4s will end up being a little bit lower each time. But yeah, so is there other ways to look at this? Can we look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4 cross here, and then 5 up here, you know? Is that possible as 1, 2, 3 ABC for 4, and then up for 5 here with an A and a B and a C to come back here? Possibly. So in that case, it might be good to wait for that 110 to be the resistance at that point. But the market is turning over, as you can see. So with Meta here, I just thought we'd just go over this a little bit. It's this is on a 2-day chart here, and this would be one way to count it down. The other way is, you know, the thing is here, what I've got to try to figure out, you know, a lot of the other markers that we're working with, is we're counting them down as basically an ABC pattern coming down. But this one here has just got such a nice 5-wave structure coming down. You know, I could put this as the A and the B here, which we can look at now on this. I think, yeah, so I could go, just doesn't seem right when I do something like this, have a little A wave here and a B wave here and some massive C wave here, do you know? Doesn't sort of ring true for me. This whole thing just looks like an impulse wave to me, you know? So we'll be down at, you know, it's at 100 now, so it'll bounce around there for a while, 1 being the strongest number. But, you know, we'll be down at $50 and lower for this. On the daily chart for this, we'll just sort of drill in. Yeah, so basically, I don't know if we can look at it as an A and a B and a C, or we need to look at it. I mean, to me, this is just such a beautiful third wave here, and the whole market's still unfolding to the downside. You know, I can extend things out further and further, you know. I mean, really, that wave 3 should be, we've been working this as a little wave 3 and 4 here, and I could put 5 here. So in that case, if I was putting this here as a C wave, that wouldn't really work here. But if I looked at this as 1 and 2 here, and then all of this is the third wave here, then we'd have a fourth wave and then a fifth wave. But whichever way I look at this, we're still going down. Okay, that's the that's the takeaway. So we just got to figure out little bounces and things. So in this case here, just on the daily chart, I got it 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the third wave, fourth wave here, and then looking this down, just extending this structure down a bit here. So I've got 1 to here, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 here, 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave. That will just give me one more move down. But this one more move down here, when you look at the size of wave 1 here, right, that took a long time, you know, so that could be enough to give us a little wave 4 sort of thing across that one there, and then down into the 50 at that point, you know. There's be something like that, you know. I just find it a bit tricky to look at it as a corrective move down, you know. I could, but it just doesn't make any sense anywhere when I look at it, you know. I mean, I could come down, you know, into this type of thing here, an ABC for here, and then have an A, and I don't know, just none of it makes any sense. But all I can tell you is we're going to end up with, one way or another, we're going to end up with the 100 here as the resistance, and then the market's going to drop from that. So I don't know, I think we've got something on the go into the intraday now. Yeah, so basically this is 1,000 ticks. So basically what we've been doing is working our way through this correction on 100 ticks. So we've looked at this as the A wave, and we knew that it was in 3 waves. So we knew that this low would get breached here. So we had an A and a B and a C wave up here. And I was looking for 5 waves up here, and I know I could squeeze in the last little 5th wave in here, but it just didn't really, you know, it's just something that you wouldn't do. But it didn't end well for that C wave coming up here as 5 waves up here. It just didn't really count very well. So we could look at it as a WXY, I'd imagine, and that would be fine. But yeah, so it just sort of caught me out by a little bit. Yeah, so now we need to count this down as 5 waves. And what I was thinking is we could view this in different ways, this particular correction, you know. Yeah, you could look at it in any way that you want. But I'm thinking that what we just need to do is not worry too much about the particular count, because I can see that it can be done in different ways, but it's just to understand that a trend's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and we're in the ending part here. So don't get FOMO'd out about seeing that and thinking you're going to get that again over here. It just doesn't work like that. So this will, you know, bounce around. It, you know, it will come down further and it can come back up, and it may not go this high, you know, but we should see some type of correction here that we'll be able to work with at the end of the day. So just on 100 ticks here, I was kind of looking at it like this here. I should probably just rearrange that a little bit further here as well. If I call that 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2 here, then I'll need to call this 3 here, but I can't see inside of that. So I could call that wave 4 and this wave 5 here, and then I could call this wave 3 here if that's going to move up. So you can kind of see we're going to get that pattern occurring around here in a way, you know. This could take us down further here, a bit deeper, but we need something to work with here. So even a retest, you know, now that we've got this low in place, and there can be more to this, we may end up getting something like this, and then a push back up. So we need that push back up here with something that we can work with. that we can look to short at this point and under here and that sort of stuff, you know. Chasing this down here, it's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. So this move down here can be wave 5 of 3, but it could also be this one here as well. It could be 5 of anything here, really. It doesn't really matter. So my thing here is, let's just see what it does at this point here, and I'll be able to figure it out. We'll be able to get a trade set up, because basically we want to trade from 100 down into the next level, the 90 or the 80 down here. So, but we do need to see it have a little scuffle at this price point here, this level, which will leave us with the remnants of a pattern that we'll be able to understand and look to short at this point. So we'll just leave that for the time being. Netflix is one that's trending to the upside. I've been counting from wave B to wave C up here as 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave. We're in the fourth wave here. It's holding up quite well at the 300. So I just expect this one to continue to move up here to this point, and then have wave 4, and then have wave 5. Now what we need to be careful about is this one here, as at this point here, having that first high above the level is where it could fail. So this is where it could fail from here. So we don't want to move too quickly with all of this, but yeah, we need it to sort of finish off here with this. So we'll see how it goes. Enphase has moved up nicely. So where are we now with this? I did have a position here that I cleaned out this morning. So yeah, we could look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to here, or we could look at this as a bit of a fourth wave here and another little push to the upside. But I can assure you that we're close to a top here in terms of, because we've got the arrival, the reaction, and the first high above the level. And we may get, you know, because where this wave 3 is up here, that can also be wave C. So that top may already be in place here. I'm not quite sure. I haven't really zoomed in there just yet, but we're close enough. We're at the 10. So this wave 3 can also be wave C of B at this point. And if that's the case, then we can come down further at this point. It's possible for it to pull back at the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree and then move up here for that. And if we do move up for that, well, then we can count this up here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Like I said, I don't think we need to get really involved in any of this. If we do get this move up here, well, then we'll look for an ABC pattern. And then we'll, once that's, it should just be a 5, 3, 5 structure, and then we can look to build in on the long side over here for that. So we've got to figure out what we're going to get first. Are we going to get 3 waves up, or are we going to get 5 waves up? And we won't know until I can identify this as being impulsive or corrective, you know. Yeah, so that's it really for this. So we'll just, I mean, as a wave 4 to pull back, wherever that top comes in, then you can look at that, which is, you know, I mean, it's just here anyway at this point. So it might be a little bit high and you'll need to adjust that. But I just put that there as a bit of a zone to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree and the 38.2. So yeah, down back into the 290. So let's see, you know, if it drops from here, let's just see what type of pattern it gives. Let's see if we can count 5 waves. If we can count 5 waves, well, then we can look to short the counter trend if you wanted to, you know. So yeah, nothing really to do here just yet. We need for the market to come to us. So with Tesla here, I don't know what the bounce is. I knew that it would bounce, but I don't know what the bounce is, because we could we could put this, all this over here, we could put this on this top here and have a look at this as wave 1 here, and then wave 2 to here, and then wave 3, 4 and 5 to come down. So there's different ways to look at all of this, but in a way it doesn't matter, because I know what's going to happen at the, you know, at the level. We knew that it would come down. We knew that it would get very rough in group 1 here, 10, 20 and 30. We knew that it would bounce off the 200, and we can see here that divergence again, like we're seeing in the S&P and so on. We're seeing this move up here with lower volume coming in here. So that's moving up on hot air, basically, you know, or cool air. There's not, you know, there's no buyers in here. It's just that means that there's no sellers at this point, you know. So this will come down. If it's in line with the rest of the markets, then it'll be, if this bar here closes today on higher volume than the previous one, then we know the sellers are in control. We can see that the sellers are in control at the moment here, because, you know, we're getting a lower close, but we're not seeing that confirmed with volume, you know. Might just mean that there might be not many sellers in there, but there might be just less buyers in there, you know. But the thing is that this this is coming down further, you know. It's going to come down with the rest of the markets. We'll see this pretty close at 100 here. I'm just not quite sure how it's going to get there, but the normal thing that we can like kind of depend on a little bit is the arrival, the reaction, the first low below the level, the retest that can go above the level or hit the level, and then down again at that point. So it's going to do something like that. So if you want to short this, then now is the time to get a very small position in here, and we can add little positions along the way, you know, on the second bounce. If this does come down here, for example, then there's going to be another bounce off that, isn't there? So then we could add the second position or something of that nature. And then as it locks under here, we can add it again, and we just keep building the little positions here. So less is more in that regard. So on 100 ticks, so we know that the move up here, even though it looks strong, it was going up on lower volume all the time. I don't know if, you know, I've got this here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and as I mentioned yesterday, I would be philosophical and put that here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, because it matches up quite nicely, but I know that's not going to be taken well. So, and the other thing is here, well, if we call that wave 5 in, you know, now we're in the B wave. So what do we do with this? Do you know, do we put it here? It's a bit small, and a bit small to have wave C here. But I do see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Could that be a C wave? Could I go here? Could I go an A and some sort of B wave and C wave to that point? And then we can go up from that point. But if that's 5 waves here, right? If that is 5 waves, nothing wrong with that. A little bit of overlap, but that's cool. Nice sharp 1 and 2, nice third wave, fourth, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe we could glean a small position under this level here. I mean, that move there looks corrective at this point, and shit, that looks like impulsive at this point, you know. So we've got something that's pointing, we've got impulse waves that are pointing down, and we've got corrective waves pointing up. We don't have to bet all the kids on this. We could just rent a couple out. So we could just do a small position there. You could get that a bit closer, by the way. You could put it under here. You could put it under here for that. But I'll leave that with you to decide. So if we can get one here, for example, and then get another small one under here, you know, that could be quarter of a position. That could be quarter. So there's half a position here, you know. And then, you know, we know that, as I mentioned, we're going to be coming down here further. But when we come down here, there's going to be some sort of bounce that will come back into the 210 to 215, so we could get another one there. What we could do, though, is we could actually get one under the 15 here. Once that becomes, even if you've got a bounce off the 15, you could do that. And then we could get the other ones over here on this bounce. And once that bounce is finished, the next bounce is normally lower and lower, and then so we can just kind of build, you know, get, you know, whatever we get here, and if these are all quarter positions, then we've sort of built in and we've managed the risk right, because that first one here, if that gets triggered, then it shouldn't go back above this one here. So the stock could go quite close here. It shouldn't go above this one. as an ABC pattern if that's breached here, because this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the ABC. So that would be where the stop would go. So that's not too bad a quarter position. You wouldn't you're not risking, you know. Anyway, something like that. I mean, everybody does things themselves. So these are just ideas. They're not. This is not financial advice. So that's that, and Google. So yeah, it did slip down a little bit lower, but I'm still just going to run with this being wave 1 down here, and then some sort of rally for wave 2. Don't have something to get our teeth into just yet. I mean, it could be down for 1 and back for 2 here, but it just didn't really give us the bounce that I was looking for. You know, I mean, it was a bit small. So I think it's just the wave 4, and you know, a bit like what happened to Meta and so on. So we need this to finish off and then have this correction, and because we want to kind of bring everything in line with everything as well. So it's not ready yet. But once again, the takeaway here is that, you know, big stock has now taken this low out here, right? So you know, will the other stocks catch up and those sorts of things? Does make a nice ABC pattern here for all of this, you know. This is, you know, the same as counting the S&P, you know, because we had it over here, and you know, and doing the stocks, I slowly noticed there's, you know, no way that could be wave 2, you know, just doesn't make any sort of sense. I should have been a bit stronger on myself about that. I mean, it looks like a wave 4. I have to go back and check to see if I've made a mistake somewhere. It's pretty high above the 50. Just doesn't look like a wave 2, you know. Anyway, just note that. So with Microsoft here, when the market comes down here, you know, down around the old low, we're going to get some sort of movement back here. So some sort of bounce. I can see that from this little move here. I can see we've got 1 in here and 2, and then the 3rd wave is in here, then the 4th and the 5th wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's all of that and that. So we've probably got a bounce and then another move down before we get this wave 2. So there's nothing to do here, but Google and Microsoft, Microsoft being pretty weak in the trend, dragging the Nasdaq around. So this will be a good short over here for this, you know. It moves reasonably well. So we'll keep an eye on that setup. And Berkshire Hathaway. So this will be one of the last ones to fall. Now, I've got 2 counts for this. So we've got this as the B wave here with wave 1 here, an A and a B and a C wave here for this. And we're going to have a top in play there. So if I just look at this on the daily chart for a moment. Let me clean up the data. So we're not seeing excessive volume. Let me just get in here. Okay, so we've got increasing volume on this. Obviously, we've got strong move up here, but even this move up here is on lower volume. You know what I mean? So it's not a lot there. That was really not on strong volume. So let's see if this one here closes lower. So what I was sort of thinking here is just really put an order under the daily low and then put the stop above that. Okay, so obviously the stop would be, we need to put that in a different color, but I'm just going to delete it anyway. But if you wanted to short that, that would be if you couldn't understand the internal count, that would be a nice mechanical way of handling the situation, because now you know exactly how much risk you've got, and you know, you can just make that smaller at this point. So just a part you know, a quarter position, half a position, a third of a position, or something like that. Or you could probably use the 290 as the retested resistance at that point. So, you know, it's not the best one to short, but I can see that it's sort of hanging in the air there. So that's on 1,000 ticks. So looking at a possible top in play there, but the main point here is I don't have any evidence that we've got to turn down at this point. The other count here on 100 ticks counts it a little bit differently with this situation here. So we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and then looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, and the fourth wave here, and looking for the fifth wave to go up. So it's quite possible that we've got wave 1 here and wave 2, so we've got further to push up here. That's why I was suggesting that whatever that low was, that we could look to short at that point. I don't know, 288. Yeah, we're further enough up here now, so we could just put that under here, and we could just make it thin that line out there just to make it really small. And as you know, if that gets triggered, then the stop would need to go above this high here. So we'll just put that in there. So these are not, you know, these things that I'm mentioning here, these are for going down a lot further. These are sort of trend trades to come down, and we're just edging our way in, you know, and just having a bit of fun at the top to see if we can nail that down a little bit. But you know, it could be totally wrong. Friday can be bullish, and up we go. You know, where's that? Where's that thingy bob here? The S&P. Just want to have a look at this on the 15-minute chart and just look at that. Yeah, you can see that there. That's one of the you see how that's moved up here, and it's got lower volume as it's moved up. I know more volume comes into the morning session, and you know, it's always the same sort of curve, but just sort of looking at this, you see how this situation here, you see how it's on lower volume coming down. We're not seeing increased volume yet. You know, we're not seeing the market, you know, go into sort of selling mode. So we could quite easily have this as a little A, B, and C here for a fourth wave here. You know, in the bullish market, we expect Friday to be bullish. So if Friday's not bullish, then we know that we need to see this collapse at this point. You know, we need to see it drop, and that 3.8 is here. That's our sort of little guiding sort of level, really, at this point. You know, anyway, just wanted to check on the volume and things for these. Okay, so we'll see. That could just give us another little 5 waves up here for wave 5. But we're just keeping an eye on, you know, like I say, they don't. It doesn't hurt to be a little bit diligent, you know. We want to be awake at the wheel, you know. The same thing with block here. Now, we could put this here because it had a nice little move down, but we could also put it over here to go up further, because I can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. So that would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then going up here. But I think we could put in a very small position on the short side here. I'm also going to make that very thin at this point. Obviously, the other guiding factor here is the closest largest number, which is 60. So seeing that 60 as the retested resistance would be helpful in shorting this, but this could certainly push up for another little high in here. We're just getting prepared for these things. Goldman Sachs. Yeah, I was just sort of reverting to this again here as well. Now, We could have a top in here for this. We'll just see how Friday goes. So once that bar here finishes, then you know, we can short under that. Where's indicators here? Yeah, it's the same thing here. You can see this moving up here, you know, on lower volume, you know. All we need to see is a down bar with increased volume above this, you know. So tomorrow, I don't know when any of these stocks are reporting. Okay, so that's something that you guys will need to look at as well. But if Friday takes that low out there, then you could look to get a very, very small position here for that. And of course the stop, I'll just put the stop there as well, because then I've remembered that I've done it. Because I mean, I don't really need to remember things, because I know always what I say is pretty much always the same. So so yeah, that's that. Let's just cruise in from 10,000 ticks to 10 ticks. I don't know if I got this labeled or not. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, I've done something here on this. So so anyway, I've been counting up. So it's possible to have that top in here, right? The wave 5's a little bit short, but I can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So what we could do here, if you wanted to, is just put a very small position in here for that. And we'll just put that there. You know, the stop's got to go. I'll just copy that and put that up there. So if Friday's weaker, then we can look to put in a bigger position and sort of build to the downside here for that. So picking tops is a mug's game. I don't have any evidence. I can see a little impulse wave here. So we could come down further, but we may just get an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave down to here, and then a push up from that point, you know. I don't know, you know. I'm just look. I can see the rest of the. I can see a lot of the market is rolling over, so I can see that's, you know, that's the case. The same with Morgan's here, taking that low out here by putting a stop above that would do the trick. These can be counted up in different ways. This is Bank of America here. So with Bank of America, I've got a little position just here with my stop above here for this. So I mean, it was a little bit of, it's just, my position's so small and embarrassing, I don't want to show you, but I'm just pointing out that it is very small. I'm happy to take that little loss. See, I've got, what have I got here? Yeah, so it should stay below here. I might just push that up a little bit because I'm on a CFD product here and so on. But I will continue to look for tops in this market, you know, and I'll also, if I get lucky and it drops down, then in fact I'll do that later, but I will move that up to that top there. Yeah, so I just really want to continue to add to this, really. So once this moves, once I've got this leg here completed, looks like we've got some sort of little 1 and 2 in here. I'll have to figure all that out. Maybe that's the 3rd, 4th, 5th here. So yeah, it's a bit hard to count. I mean, it could be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 building to the downside. This market's got a habit of doing that. But once I get some sort of rally here, then I'll be having another low exposed here. So I've had that low exposed on that 5 wave move. So that's why that's there. So I will add on the next low here as well. But like I said, this may not be a top. Like I've got this as wave 4 here. This could just be wave 1 and 2 here. A bit big for wave 2. So we'll just see how the cookie crumbles. The other way that this could go is that this can along with the S&P that we've got, is that this could be a 3 and 4 here. This would starting to look a little bit complicated. So I've either got 1, 2, 1, 2 heading down, or we're in a fourth wave here. But I just didn't have a lot of faith in the fourth wave for the S&P now that we've rearranged the stocks. Alrighty, well that's it. Thanks for tuning in. And look, the thing is that we can see big stocks rolling over on earnings, as we sort of expected. That would help create the top and move the market down. And is it going to create a domino effect and start bringing the others down? That's the question. And do we start moving in a small way? Well, I think yes, you know, but only move in with a very small position, and we can look to build, you know. So with this one here, I'll probably add it every, you know, 50 cents, 30 cents, something like that. Who knows? We'll see. But the road is long, and if this is right, well, then we've got a long way to go down, and, you know, it could pay off quite nicely. Otherwise, we get stopped out, and then I'll be looking for a top further up. Simple as that. Alrighty, cheers.